Last summer, I embarked on a group road trip from the east coast of Canada to Bromont, Quebec to ride mountain bikes with my friends. This is Chris, he organized everything. That's Matt. Here we have Renaud, and this is Jeff. Actually, this is Jeff on the ground. Pretty much all of us brought two bikes because we had the room in the back of the truck and a trailer that we brought with us, dirt jumper for exploring around off the hill, and then a bigger, much more appropriate bike for the bike park itself. Me, of course, I felt the need to bring along the red bike as a test to see if its simple, single speed, single pivot steel construction was indeed the indestructible machine that I expect it to be versus a non-East Coast mountain bike park. And here is my loose review of Bromont. So while I start this clip being in the parking lot, the first thing I want to address is how insanely quick you get from the bottom to the top of the mountain. If you live in a place with big mountains and a lot of snow with ski resorts that deal with wild amounts of population, this probably comes as no surprise to you. But for me, a poorly traveled East Coast Canadian, I was surprised at how fast the lifts start climbing as they leave the loading area. The acceleration put me back into the seat a little bit on the first run up, and I was definitely not ready for that at all. It's a small detail in the grand scheme of things, but you get a crazy amount of runs in with the speed of the lifts here.
This is way faster than any lift I've been on.
So for day one, knowing we weren't accustomed to any of the trails here and we were likely to come up short on a lot of the features before we knew where they were, let alone the speeds required to get over them, Jeff was smart enough to pull up a progression circuit that Bromont curated on their website to help get us exposed to a variety of trails without having to think about what we want to ride next. Basically, starts you out on some greens, puts you onto some blues, goes to a black trail, and then you're good to go from there. It takes about half a day to do. And throughout that circuit, you've got the opportunity to get those silly mistakes out of the way, shake off the nerves, get your bearings, and, just kind of start riding the place. I would definitely recommend the progression circuit for your first day. It's just an easy way to choose trails and get those nerves out. Now, if I recall correctly, the day passes for the bike park were purchased in quantities of 3, and that left us with one free day to go explore a little bit. So I think it was our third day we spent at a pedal access park that is in the community, and it was pretty good. It's the type of trails and build that if it was in your community, you could easily, happily spend hours upon hours here and just keep riding all the time.
Go!
Should have kicked it harder!
So as the days went on and we became more accustomed to the trails here at Bromont, we knew which ones we liked the most, but we still had ones that we wanted to experience at least once. It's hard to come here knowing there's a World Cup course, especially one you see on the chairlift every time you go up, so we had to try it at least the once. So far, so good. This section here under the chairlift that you see every single time you come up is ultimately the most intimidating looking part, but if you're just riding the brakes as hard as I am the whole time, going as slow as possible, looking really far ahead, you can just kind of manage everything. You can bumble your way down this pretty easily. The fact that people ride this at full race pace, like don't touch the brakes that much, is absolutely insane to me. But yeah, you can get down this. Like, you just kind of like frogger your bike from one flat spot to another, and you get down okay. Okay. We also went down a trail called Slick, which was fun and interesting because it did require some front brake modulation down some of these granite slabs, which, you know, is kind of a fun thing to have to deal with on a technical trail. But otherwise, I think we got a little bit lost and turned around, thrown on some different trails. And ultimately, I sort of just like heavy braking, bumbled my way down this one as well. And then there's a little thing. Bumble did as well. Just hard on the brakes, bumbling, just going from rock to rock, getting down it. Now, a trail that we spent a significant amount of time on was Berminator, more specifically the top half of Berminator. It's kind of a mix of like some techie stuff like rocks, but it's really fast, there's good berms, and there's just all sorts of stuff to jump and ride over. It feels fast because it's a little bit bumpy. And then once you get about a quarter way down the entire run, it just becomes this like choose your own adventure. There's all sorts of different lines that you can choose from. And if everyone's close enough, you can all choose different ones. And then whoever the leader was could change, or you could pass someone. It's really, really fun. It's like hectic once you get there. I love it for that. We would always just, the order would change constantly when we would get to this section. And then once you're at like the half point of this trail, you can choose all sorts of different trails to go down. My favorite thing to do was to go over to Bromont, which is like a pro line jump trail. Of course, I don't have any video footage of that, but that's kind of what we would do with this trail quite a bit. We would ride the top as fast and as hard as we could, and then we would sometimes separate completely, all go different ways down the mountain, and then regroup at the bottom at the chairlifts and kind of like do it again. Oh, and just as an update, the single speed, single pivot steel bike, been flawless this whole time. Now, to finish off, for me, the greatest of all time trail here is Le Set. It's a fast, really, really well-working jump trail that has some wooden features built on it, and like the stuff works so good that I felt like I could do tricks on it, which just makes me like it even more. Without trying to be a hypocrite, I'd be hard-pressed to know if we rode this or Berminator more. We really did spend a lot of time on both, but definitely we stopped here to get more clips than we did on Berminator, so that's got to be worth something. Anyway, that sort of concludes this extremely loose review of Bromont as experienced on a single speed full suspension. I enjoyed the place. If a group of people told me they were going back, I'd probably go with them. I didn't have anywhere to put this clip of Jeff crashing, so I'm just going to finish the video with it. Are you good?